Hey, my antisocial butterflies. Today with me, I have Ricky Versetti. What's up, man? How are
What's going
you?
on? What's going on?
This is it, man. I'm so excited to have a chance to sit down and talk with you. So thank you for joining my platform. I appreciate it.
Likewise, likewise. I have a question for you before anything. Uh,
Yes.
what's it like over there on your side of the world?
Well, it's great. Yesterday was the first day of spring, and Boston actually like showed up and showed out because it was like 60 degrees today, something like that. And I went out just for a drive to be like, oh fuck it, I need some good weather. I mean, it gets so crazy because everybody's been locked in that
Right.
everybody goes out in the city during the day. So it's crazy. So I just wanted to drive around because like I just told you, I'm the antisocial socialite. I want to get out in public, but I don't want to talk to anybody. So I was like, I'll just
Absolutely.
drive around for a little bit. But it was beautiful. So I'm so excited. But are you back in Texas right now?
Yes, I actually
Okay.
just got back a few days ago,
Okay.
and I've been settling in. Like we were speaking a little earlier, we doing a little remodeling in the house. So I kind of came back to that. I've been on the road, came back, and I got to keep working here now with home things until it's time to get back out there and do other things.
Good. So your side of the world is treating you nicely. And of course, like I think you're based in San Antonio, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. Yeah.
Yes,
So
I'm
you, of
on.
course, have nice weather like all the time.
It's so bipolar. San Antonio could go literally from 70, 80-degree weather one day to I don't know if you heard recently, we had this crisis because we had snowpocalypse happen.
Yes.
And 3 days prior to snowpocalypse, it's 70 degrees outside. And 2 days after snowpocalypse, it was back to 70 and sunny. So yeah, it can get pretty you gotta have shorts on and a sweater on at the same time, just in case.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
how we are here. I mean, it was
Really?
just snowing a couple days ago, and then you can be in your bathing suit the next day, and you're like, I don't
Wow.
get
But
it.
you guys get a lot of snow over there, right? Consistently.
We do. This year, definitely, there was more snow and colder days I felt than even last year. Last year was so mild. I don't think we got more than like one snow day. I think that was
Wow.
it. So yeah, I mean, definitely climate change plays a huge part. But last Sunday it was like super beautiful out, and then all of a sudden I turn out because I keep pointing because I have a balcony right here.
I keep
But
looking.
then all of a sudden I was like, shit, it's snowing? Like, where did this just come from? So it's crazy. But my friends in Fort Worth and Dallas were texting me during your snowpocalypse, and they're like, excuse me, Katie, take your drunk ass like weather back home. Like, get this, this is not Texas,
Yeah, we definitely
So
were not ready for that.
oh, it was the worst, but I'm glad that it's like back to normal right now for you, and
Yeah.
hopefully no impending snowstorms like
Yeah,
coming.
hopefully not. Hopefully not. Yeah, let's get back to a regularly scheduled program.
Exactly, exactly. So I already kind of teased it that you live in San Antonio, but if you want to tell the viewers like a little bit of backstory about you and who you are, because all I've done is said your name and where you're from. That's it. So tell
Well, I
everybody.
currently I live in San Antonio. This is where I reside. This is, I guess you could say, home base. But it's funny you mentioned Fort Worth because I'm actually from the Metroplex.
Oh,
So Fort Worth is that's all in the same area. I have a lot of family in Fort Worth. Have a lot of family and friends in Dallas. So that's actually where I'm from. I'm from a little small town named Ennis, Texas, and it's about 20 miles south of Dallas. Um, you know, a lot has happened along the journey, but somehow I ended up moving to Mexico. And I actually lived on the border of Mexico for about 4 to 5 years. I went to school. I would cross every single day from Mexico into these states every single morning to go to school and then cross back to go home. So I've gotten to experience a lot of different, I guess you could say, like cultures from coming from the Dallas area. It's very diverse, a lot of different types of people. But when I went to the border, I'm Mexican. So when I went to the border, I thought it was going to be a smooth transition, and boy, I was very wrong. The people on the border were so much different, even though they were the same as me. They were so much different. So it was a big culture shock. But I was able to adapt. Thing is, Eagle Pass, we moved to Eagle Pass and Piedras Negras, which is the border.
okay.
Um, there was really not much going on. It was pretty much in the middle of nowhere. The closest city in either direction was an hour. and
Wow.
San
Okay.
Antonio was 2 hours. So, there was not much going on out there. And I always was a kid with, I always had big dreams. Always. I remember being a kid and just wanting to do just big things, mainly with music. It was always music. I remember that I would always listen to music more than I would watch TV. So that's, and to this day, it's the same thing. I'd rather be doing music or listening to music than watching TV. Although I do watch some TV. I don't say I don't, but that was my thing. Music has always been my thing. And I remember that I would listen to I would go to sleep at night with my headphones on, listening to, Michael Jackson. He was a big influence in my music. Um, and I remember that I would be pretending that I was the one singing those songs in front of, thousands of people. And I never really thought that that would actually one day come true. I've been blessed. I've been blessed. But I remember that, coming up and just thinking, having my little Walkman on and my headphones on and just going to sleep, listening to these songs, and just imagining that that was me. Uh, so with that in mind, living in a small town in the middle of nowhere was not going to work. So,
You're a city boy,
I'm a city
right?
boy. I'm a city boy that was never really born in the city, but it was just in my nature to be, in the city. So that's what I did. I left Eagle Pass and we moved to San Antonio. And in San Antonio is where everything really began with the music. I started to do a lot of open mics and start to associate myself with a lot of people, which is very important in the entertainment industry. Networking. You have to, it's about who you know. It's always going to be about who you know. I don't care if they tell you it's not, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
So, I started to associate myself in the scene and get out there with as many people as I could. And that just, it's been a long process, but, we've stuck with it and it's gotten us here.
But it's a worthwhile process for sure. I mean, because
Oh,
you're
oh,
happy with what
absolutely.
you're doing. So, I mean, you're very
Absolutely.
passionate.
The thing with what I do is that it's a passion. Like I really love what I do to the point to where it doesn't matter if this wasn't my career, I would always still find a way to do music.
Yeah.
Even if I had to work a 9 to 5 at McDonald's or whatever, music will always was and will always be a part of my essence. So I love it. It's a passion. I'm gonna do it regardless. Luckily and fortunately, I've been blessed enough to be able to do it, at the levels that I do it. So I feel like that's just come with the consistency and the persistence of, not taking no for an answer. Y'all are gonna hear me.
Yeah.
So here we
Whether
are.
you like it or not, you're
Yeah,
gonna
if
hear
you
me.
like it or
Yeah.
not, you're gonna hear me.
Yeah.
So it's been a struggle. Though. It has been a long road, but for the most part, it's been hella worth it.
That's incredible. And I did read on your bio that you used to play the saxophone.
I did. I
Yeah.
did the tenor
That's
sax.
impressive. That is
Tenor
so,
sax.
I love it. Now, do you play any other instruments or is that like the only instrument that you know how to play?
So what happened with the tenor sax was, like I said, I was always so drawn to music. So when I got into school, and we got into, I believe it was junior high school. That was when you're able to join the band. I was really excited because I wanted to play an instrument. I wanted to play the saxophone, and you don't just sign up for band and say I want to play this instrument and you get it. Sometimes you end up playing something different that you didn't even want to play because that's just what's available.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to be able to play the saxophone. Um, the thing is, I was also an athlete. So I played sports. I loved sports. So being in junior high, I was in band and I played football. So whenever we go into high school, things change a little bit. Things get more serious with football. They take football very serious, and things get more serious with band, which mainly they start to march. So it becomes the marching band, the band marching during the varsity games and stuff like that. I kind of had to choose. They made me choose. You can't march and play football at the same time. Well, you can, but it's really hard because during the halftime show you got to run out and march in your uniform, in your football uniform, and I was just like, I'm not gonna do all that shit. So
You're like, I need to breathe in between these plays and all this stuff. You're like,
I
can't be
think
doing both.
it had more to do with the peer pressure, to be honest. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, it had to do a lot with the peer pressure because back then, right now, bullying is a big thing. And I never really got bullied. I can't really say I ever got bullied because I always fought back. So if you wanted to bully me, you had to be ready to fight back. And it was more like they would, kind of joke on me and pick on me. And they were like, you can't be playing football and being in band. It was more of a band nerd kind of thing. They would call me a band nerd. And I would still tell them I am a band nerd,
You
What are y'all gonna
embraced
do about
it.
it? What are
Yeah.
y'all gonna do about it? I'm a band nerd. Y'all not gonna do nothing about it. But you couple that with the fact that, okay, now I have to make a choice. Should I march or should I play ball? And I wanted to continue to play music, but I really didn't care for the marching. That is true. I really didn't care for the marching, but I did want to continue to learn to play music. But I made the decision. So it was like play ball or play music. And at that point, I played ball.
Yeah.
So I played the saxophone up until I started playing varsity football, and then from there, I kind of just left it alone for a little bit, and then music kind of just not really faded away, but it was more of I wasn't really a singer, so I was like, well, I can't sing. I don't know how to play an instrument very, very well the way I should. What can I do? And kind of music just fell back a little bit, but there was this moment when I moved to Eagle Pass, in the middle of nowhere is where I actually found a true love for being an artist. One of my friends tells me that there's a guy who can go around freestyling. I don't know if you know what freestyling is in hip hop, you
Yep.
know?
I'm
So,
a big hip hop head. Even
oh,
though I
cool,
don't look
cool.
like it, I definitely am.
So he's like, man, there's this guy that freestyles. And I asked if you know, because at that point, I didn't know what freestyling was. So I was like, what is freestyle? And he's like, he's just gonna start rapping about, your shoes and what you got on, your hat, whatever it is that you got on. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like actually like rapping it and sounding good? He's like, yeah, man, he sounds real good. I'm like, nah, that shit's impossible. Nobody could do that shit. And he's like, no. Well, while he's telling me this, the guy happens to be walking by. And he's like, look, there he goes. And he calls him over. And sure enough, the dude comes over and starts freestyling. And I was just blown away by the fact that somebody could just, on a whim, start rapping, sounding so good with melody, with flow, with style and grace, and just be doing it off the top of your head. Like that was to me like, oh, wow, that's got to be a gift. Well, I realized that it's really not a gift. It's actually a learned behavior. You can learn to rap. You could really learn to rap. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to be good at it, but you can learn to rap. People can learn to rap. Now, there's always going to be a certain grace or a certain finesse, or like we like to say, a little bit of swag that people might have. That's just natural. If you don't have that swag and you don't have that, that just little it factor, then that's a different story. But I actually learned and taught myself to rap because that was my end to music now. Anybody can rap. All I gotta do is make some words rhyme, make it sound really dope, and I might be able to do this.
Now, did you start rapping by actually writing your lyrics or just by freestyling? Because I mean, obviously you met this guy, but I could never freestyle if my life depended on, like, if you had a gun to my head and you're like, Katie, you have to freestyle like 3 bars to save your life. I'd be like, I don't know, just shoot me now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like I could write it down and then eventually learn it. But, what was your case? Like, how did you actually start rapping?
Well, when I was a kid, like being in the shower, how we sing in the shower. I remember that I would freestyle in the
Okay.
shower,
So
but
you
I didn't
did
know that
without
I was freestyling.
putting
I
that
didn't
name
know.
on it or that title. Yeah.
Yeah, I just knew that I was, and I'd be singing shit, and I would really do it a lot more with like melodies. It wasn't rapping, it was more melodies, like R&B type of melodies. So I could hear these R&B melodies, and I would just stick words, and a lot of times the words didn't make sense at all, but they rhymed and they went with the melody. So I was like, man, this would really sound pretty cool. I think if I could really make it sound the way it's supposed to, like do it right. But I never really, I was a kid. I never really thought about it like that. So it kind of started that way, which coming full circle. If you ever see me in the studio now, I'll go into the booth and I'll just be like, play the music, and then I'll just start mumbling some shit, but it has a melody, and they'll record that, and then I'll go back, listen to that, and I'll write the words. to the melody that I mumbled on the mic with a bunch of gibberish and words that didn't make sense.
Right. You just
So
edit out the filler parts and you're like, ooh, I liked that line. Let's take that one.
not,
And then
not even really that. It's more of a, it's just to capture the idea, capture the essence on the record. And then once I do that, I literally will craft the words, bar for bar for bar until the whole verse is done. It's actually a process. Everybody, some people go in there and they just do it off the top. Some people go in there and they write. Some people take forever to write. Some people are fast at writing. I'm more of a fast writer because I go in there, I hear a melody, and then I'll lay the melody down, and then it's really quick to write the words. Once the melody's there, because that's what's going to give you the feel. Once you got that, writing the words just comes simple to me. So I kind of started with the freestyle element, but I wasn't making sense. I remember the first time I tried to write a verse, though, it was horrible. So
you tried. So we got
yeah,
to give you
but
credit on that.
That's why I say it's a learned behavior, because the more you write, the better I got, and eventually I got, to where, what I do today. But it started, it's been an actual process, finding my voice, finding my style, finding everything. So yeah, it's definitely been a journey.
And I would say for that, speaking of, your style, I've listened to your songs and you have a really diverse sound, which is nice. I mean, I listened to California Dreamin' earlier, and then my Instagram reel that I know you saw, but Narco Traficante, they have very different sounds, and it's nice that you're able to speak English, well, sing, rap English and Spanish on there. So not only having the diversity in languages, but even just in sounds. And I think that's the most beautiful part, because you're starting, like you said, with the melody, because you could have an amazing song written out, but if you don't have that sound that matches it, that song, those lyrics are going nowhere.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
So it's nice that you start off, which I feel like sometimes it'd be the opposite process for other artists to say, here's my song. Now we just got to match the sound to it. So,
And speaking on the level of the diversity of the sound, coming up in an era where record labels played a big part in an artist's career, labels tend to want to put you in a box. They have to label you as a genre because that's the way they're going to market you. They need their target audience. Once they have their target audience, they've got the formula and they run with it. But without that, it makes it really hard to be even acknowledged as an artist. And here recently, maybe a few years back, I had a few meetings with some labels and everything. And that was the first thing they always asked me, well, what's your genre? And I'm like, man, I hate that question because I don't know.
right.
I
How
really
can
don't
you
know. My genre
pinpoint
is
down
my
to that?
yeah, my genre is decided at the moment that I want to make the song,
Yeah.
And so now I'm independent. I'm completely independent. I don't have a label. I don't have anybody's doesn't have me under contract. So I can do whatever I want. Literally whatever I want. So we also live in a different era as far as music is consumed. Nowadays, it's not so smart to drop a full album, although major artists still do it. But more upcoming artists is not so smart to drop a full album because the audience attention span is so short. I mean, you hear Narco Traficante, you're going to hear it 4 or 5 times. If it's a great song, you might hear it 20, 30 times. Then you're going to want something else.
Right.
You're going to, hey, Ricky, when you dropping something new, and it's like, man, y'all still ain't listening to California Dreaming? No, we want something new. So, it doesn't matter how good the song is, they're going to people want something new. And so dropping a full album, you give them 15, 12, 15 songs all at once, they consume them. And hey, when you're dropping the next album, it's like, damn, you know how hard it took me or how long it took me to get this one together?
Right.
So it's the same thing though. If I give you Narco Traficante, you're gonna consume it, you're gonna take it in, you're gonna either love it or hate it, whatever, and then you're gonna spit it out and want the next thing. So now I have a next single. So out of one full-length album that I can drop one time and you can eat it all at once and then forget about it, I can have 12 different drops that are going to have the exact same effect on the consumer. They're going to eat it up, spit it out, eat it up, spit it out. But now you're feeding them. Here you go. Here you go. Here's your next one. Here's your next one. Now, you keep with that in mind. to me, it's like now I could be any artist I want to be, because if consumers are consuming singles, then hey, here's a rock song, you know, and I might reach the rock listeners. My hip hop listeners might not fuck with it too much, but my rock listeners will. And so now I have a bunch of rock listeners. And if I'm good at doing rock music, then I'm gonna gain more rock listeners and my fan base is gonna grow. Right. So to me, the challenge used to be, can you have a platinum record? Or can you go diamond, sell 10 million? Those are still big goals. But to me personally, in my own mind, my goal now is if I can really change the game and say, hey, I've got a hit record in the rock genre. I got a hit record in a Spanish record. I got a hit record over here with these blues and R&B shit I got going on, and I got a hit record in the streets with the hip hop cats. That to me would be the ultimate accomplishment, because now I didn't just conquer my genre, I conquered all of them. And that doesn't make me a rapper. That makes me a true artist, because I can create art in any genre that you put me in. That's what I'm trying to achieve with what I do. I've always wanted to be known as not a rapper, an artist. Now, a lot of rappers say the same thing. We're not rappers, we're artists. I want to be a true artist, though. And by being a true artist means that I don't limit myself to what I can do. I can sing a rock song, I can sing a rap song. Now, doing it well is the hard part, because most rappers can't do a rock song because their genre is rap. Just like most rock and roll guys are not going to sing a rap song because they can't rap, they're rockers. But if I can do it all and do it well, that to me is a major accomplishment. Now you really did something nobody's done.
Well, and you
And
have
so that's what
unlimited potential,
yeah, yeah. So that's my goal, and that's kind of what my approach has been here recently with everything I'm doing. So you're gonna hear a lot of different diverse types of sounds coming out, not necessarily simultaneously, but relatively close to each other. So I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
It could blow up in my face, but I really don't think it is, because the reception that I've been getting here recently from some of these new sounds has been better than anything that's ever happened in the past. So I think we're on the right path, and I got a huge team that's really devoted and that loves what we're doing, which is important to me, because like I said, I'm a passion player. So if you don't have a passion in what we're doing, then you're not on the right team. You got to go. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to go.
Exactly. No, and I just love it because you're giving yourself free reign to do whatever you want to do. You're not stuck in a box. And especially because you're an independent artist right now, you're not having somebody force you to be in one box or another, or like, this is your genre, this is the only one that you can do. I feel like that you really are giving yourself creative freedom, which is incredible, to be doing that, because I don't think it's purely just the singing or rapping portion. I mean, we were talking briefly off camera about the production side of it. You have music videos, so there's the visual aspect of it and how you want to direct those. So there's so much more into going into the booth and just recording your sound and then walking out and washing your hands and say, this is it, I'm done. You really have your hands on everything, which again proves to be that you're an artist and setting the tone of how you want to be an artist, which is incredible.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, I'm very hands-on with everything I do. I mean, and that goes across the board, not just in the creative process, but when it comes down to, the marketing and the promoting and how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that? Like I literally have my hands in everything. And it's sometimes it scares me, because the bigger you get, the more people you need to help you.
Yeah.
And the more people you need to help you, the more control you're actually relinquishing. So I don't want to say I'm a control freak. I just feel like I know what I want, and I can give myself what I want. And sometimes it's really hard for others to see my vision or see what I want. And, you know, finding people to actually trust with that vision is what's important to me. So right now, the team, the guys that we have, like I have two amazing producers. Ace One, uh, he is a Grammy Award winning platinum producer. Played keyboards for Frankie J on tour. Amazing
Wow.
producer. This guy, and the most down to earth, the most humble guy I know. And This guy just gives me what I want every time. Every time. I have another guy, George Eyes. He's a guitar player. He plays with he does a lot of work with the Club Jumpers, who are multi-platinum Billboard charting producers who do a lot of the remixes for like Britney Spears and Jason Derulo, and his name is on a lot of these plaques. So he's a great friend of mine, and he's jumped on board here recently, and now whatever I need, he's got my back. And these are people that I actually trust with my vision. I could go in and be like, look, guys, I kind of got this idea like this. And then they'll go to work and they just always blow me away. So that's what's important to me, finding that. And that's very challenging. It's very challenging to find that. So to anybody out there that's doing this, when you do find that, nurture those relationships and take care of them.
Absolutely. And I think it's also nice to be able to have your voice to express if you don't like it, if they're not bringing your vision to life, to have that comfortability in your relationship to say, hey guys, this is actually not 100% like what I pictured it to be. Let's edit it that way. And I think that that's where the control freak, not that you are, but you know what you want out of it. So you're like, I have to, speak up and say, no, this is how I need it to be executed in order for it to be like a grand slam. But like with that being said, so the producers are local in that area. Do you find yourself like being able to have your team all in San Antonio, or do you have to travel, or do they come in to see you? Like what's kind of like the talent pool in terms of like San Diego, why did I just say that? San Antonio vibes, because like Boston, it's like you don't really have a ton of connections,
Right.
and San Antonio is not like where you picture on the map of like a New York or LA and Atlanta, where you just have a bunch
Absolutely.
of people, like
Absolutely.
what is it like down there?
So San Antonio this is home. So, um, my producers, they're both here actually.
Oh, awesome.
But but this is where we feel comfortable. So this is where we all live. This is where we feel comfortable. So this is where we make our music. But once the music is here, we take it everywhere but here. Because as you say, there's not so much going on here either. Now, there's a big Tejano scene here in San Antonio.
Oh,
Tejano
okay.
is like huge, huge, huge. This is where it originated. This is where it started, and this is where it's still at. Selena. I don't know if you're familiar with Selena.
Of course I am.
You
Yes.
better say that.
Listen, how old do you think I am, first of all?
It doesn't matter how old you are. You need to know who Selena is.
Of course.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
Selena, so a lot of Selena's music was recorded here in San Antonio. I've been in the studios where her name is like, I'm like, wow, y'all recorded this here? And they were like, I'm like, Selena recorded here. They were like, yeah. So uh, it's a really big Tejano market, and especially because of that, Selena made it really big. You see it in the Netflix show where they're in San Antonio at the Tejano Music Awards. They still have those music awards here. So in terms of that, there is a huge scene. Me being a Latino, I get to tap into that. So I've met a lot of these really big Tejano guys and producers and writers and artists themselves. As a matter of fact, a few days ago, we were in the studio and we just made a new song with Savannah B, who happens to be a Tejano artist. And she's won awards, and she does a lot of great things. Has a great voice. Me personally, I think her voice would sound better across different genres. And luckily, she's open to she likes different genres as well. So she's open to, hey, whatever you can do with me, let's do it. So we put her on a song here. We put her on two songs actually, which it's funny because she was like, I want something like kind of like this. And then my producer started making it, and it was kind of like with a salsa vibe. And it was real salsa to me. And I was like, that's too much. I was like, nah, we're not gonna do that. That's too much. Let's tone that down a little bit. Let's have elements of it in there, but we're not making a complete salsa song. Like that's not what we're doing. So I like to infuse my music. That's what I call it. My music is infused with so many different elements across the board. So you never know what you're gonna get. But we actually came up, it has a salsa vibe to it, but with other different, with a hip hop element. And she did her thing, she did her thing. But once we do our music, yeah, it's we use all our connections. We travel a lot. So, we're in LA a lot, we're in San Francisco a lot, we go out to Miami quite a bit. We're about to reach out into Georgia and see what kind of connections we can make out there. So we use that network. to really push what we got going on. But Houston is right down the street. Houston is maybe like, 3 hours from San Antonio. And Houston is also a really big market. So, it's nothing to drive down to Houston a few hours and really tap into the guys out there and take full advantage of what's going on there. So we're lucky to have that at least.
I also just love the fact that you say that Houston's just down the street by 3 hours because Texas is so huge. You're like, it's just down the street, because if I were to drive 3 hours, I would be in New York City from Boston. I'd be crossing multiple state lines, and you're like, oh yeah, it's just a quick car ride. That's just like, so I mean,
yeah, to us.
you're in the car 11 hours and you're still in Texas, from point A to point B. It blows my mind. And
it's true story.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And I was just in Dallas in September. One of my good friends just got married, and he was in Denton. That's where his wedding was. And I was at the rehearsal dinner the night before, and they're like, "Oh, Katie, have you ever heard of WinStar Casino? It's in Oklahoma, because we can't." Yeah, and they're like, "We can't gamble here." And I looked at the GPS, it was 45 minutes away. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to drive to Oklahoma just to say I've been to Oklahoma, because when else would I? I went to WinStar. I stayed there literally maybe 10 minutes because I was going to reek of cigarette smoke. And I was like, ugh, all right, gotta go, bye. But I was like, oh, this is great. Like, you can't just do that, anywhere. So I was like, this is fun. But no, Texas is gigantic. So
it's huge. It's huge. We drive to a lot of the places. Well, we used to drive. Now we're starting to fly more. But first, when you're kind of out there really grinding and kind of trying to make a name for yourself, you got to find a way to do it. And flying can get really expensive sometimes. So we would drive from San Antonio all the way to California. And I remember we drove from Texas to San Francisco, from San Antonio to San Francisco.
Are you serious?
Long ass drive. That is a long ass drive.
Wow.
And what's crazy is that the halfway point is El Paso. You're still in Texas.
Halfway point.
That's the halfway point.
That's insane.
Once we get to El Paso, we're like, man, we're halfway there. We'll cross Arizona and New Mexico in no time.
It's just like that.
Texas, woo, it's long.
That is insane. So my cousin was going to school in Savannah, Georgia, and graduated, and was moving to Dallas. So a couple summers ago, we did the road trip from Savannah to Dallas, and it was about 16 hours. Well, then my cousin needed to go home and get the rest of the furniture. They live in Vegas, like originally. So had to then drive from Dallas to Vegas, and it was almost just as long to get there than it was, all the way to the East Coast. It was just so crazy to me, like how, and he's like, oh, I have to go in this state, and Albuquerque's like the halfway point. I'm like, oh my God, it's just weird. Massachusetts is like this small. It's probably like the size of like the Metroplex area or whatever. It's just so crazy.
Tiny.
Yeah, so tight. That's why I'm just like, when you're saying this, I'm like, it just constantly blows my mind. I'm like, it's insane, but it's cool. And I went to Fort Worth for the first time when I was in Texas in September, and got to check out the museums, went to a really cool barbecue spot there, met up with a friend that lives there, so it's like, I love Texas, and my friend keeps trying to get me to move out to Dallas. So you never know. You might get a phone call in a couple of years and be like, Ricky, I'm finally here. You got to drive to Dallas and come meet me.
Hit me up.
Yeah. I love it. But I love hearing that you are like partnering with different artists in the area too, because it's so nice to have that local vibe, but grow big together and have all these different things. But I also love the fact that you're rapping, you have like salsa influence, you have like potentially Michael Jackson influence, that's what you grew up on. And I just love how diverse that, you're like, okay, I'm going to take everything that I know and love and like put it into my music together. So
it's been so fun doing it. It's so fun doing everything they tell you can't do or shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And we're doing it now. People are really responding to it, and we're just having so much fun creating it. I mean, we get into the studio and we have studio sessions, and it's just a brotherhood, a camaraderie that's there that it's very hard to find. I've been in a lot of studio sessions where it's a lot of tension. and it makes it very hard to create that way. So it's such a blessing to have that, to have good people, and they're so hard to find in this industry. This industry is full of sharks and snakes.
Yeah.
So to have good people that you can trust, that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very rare. But it's just so crazy because you think like from the artist perspective of where you want to go in and you want to, really exercise your craft and make music. People sometimes fail to realize it's a business. It's a business transaction. That's why you're in the studio, because you are trying to produce something for them to be able to market, to sell you, but essentially make money off of it. And I think that people kind of make it get the best of them, and they become somebody that they never, should have been. Like they become assholes for no reason is what I'm trying to get at. And you're like, just trying to stay me at all times and just like, do my passion, and that's it.
Totally. Yeah, it's important to stay yourself.
Yeah. So speaking of staying yourself, you've also like, I'm going to segue out of the music for a minute. You're an actor of sorts because you've been on Queen of the South.
Yes, multiple times.
Yes. So when I was reading your bio on your website, because I was like, I got to do some research about Ricky before we do this interview. It was like season 3, episode 12. So I will tell you, about an hour before we started recording, I was like, what part was he in? I literally just watched the whole episode again just to find you. I'm like, there he is in the white suit. Okay, yeah, now I know who he is. Like trying to make the connection. So it was like super cool. And I've like, because I'm obsessed with the show, binge watched it like all the seasons multiple times. So it's like now that I can actually like get to meet you, know you, and see your face here when I go back and watch him, like, oh, there he is. And I keep picking up different things every time I keep watching it. So I'll be excited when I binge watch it again to be like, hey, it's Ricky. I'm so excited.
The whole acting thing, that I never really thought about being an actor much. But when I started doing this music, music and film go really hand in hand. Good music can really help a film. It can really help boost a film out a lot. And there was this independent guy here in San Antonio that was making a movie, and he asked me if I'd be willing to work with him to make some music for the movie. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, definitely. We got in and we made a song, and they ended up using it at the end of the movie when they roll the credits at the end.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome to me too. And they did a red carpet premiere for it, and they did the whole thing. So at that movie premiere, I met JT Campos, who actually is one of the main characters on Queen of the South. He plays Boaz. Uh, me and JT, he was just that he made a small little cameo in the film as a more of a favor for someone else, and that's how we met at the premiere. So after we met at the premiere, he heard the music and he was like, "Man, I really want to make music with you. I want to do music with you," and that's how our relationship started. And next thing he's like, "Man, I'm gonna put you in this and I'm gonna put you in that," and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" I'm like, I ain't never really done no acting before. And he's like, "Oh no, you got the look,
Like,
you
I'm
got it down,
shy.
you're this and that." He's like, "You're good." He's like, "You're golden." Well, let me tell you, acting is a lot harder than it looks. I mean, it is, I still struggle with it a little bit. So I can't, I'm an actor because I've been in these shows, but as far as like, I guess you could say that, once I've seen my brother JT work, like literally there on set watching him work, it's very hard for me to want to call myself an actor when you see a real actor. It's kind of like Cat Williams said, the Chrysler 300 looks like a Bentley till the real Bentley pulls up next to you. It's kind of that. But yeah, in a sense, I'm an actor, and I have, acted in different little, I guess you could say like little web series and little independent projects that people have, but it's still something that's in the development phase for sure.
Yeah. Because that's what
Yeah.
I was wondering, because when it made mention in your bio, and then finally I watched the episode for the 80th time to see actually that you were in there, I was like, I wonder if you were going to continue to grow your portfolio of talent and move into acting, or if you're just like, it's fun to do, but I'm still a musician first. So that was kind of like what I was getting at with that, because it's so cool to be able to have that crossover, and you're like, hey, I could be in this film and then they're using my music with this too.
Yes.
It creates the whole, yeah.
I'm definitely a musician first,
Okay.
but I feel that the acting it's more of a, I just need to get comfortable with it. It's kind of the same thing with the music. Like when I first started doing music, I wasn't comfortable with myself. I wasn't comfortable with my voice. I just wasn't confident. So that translates in the music. You can hear when somebody's nervous, on a song, or you can hear when somebody's not delivering their verse the way they're supposed to because they're, a little out of their element or whatever. So once I was able to surpass that and really become confident in what I do and know that, I can do this. And you can put me in a room with anybody that does music and I can, I feel good about myself that I can, hang with these people. I feel like once I get to that same phase with the acting, I will be able to, be a little more comfortable doing it. But right now, I was actually on set with JT on season 3, and I just went to support my brother. He was like, "Hey man, come with me." Make him feel comfortable with him being around a bunch of people that he really doesn't know as well. So he was like, "Make me, come over there, hang out with me, be my rock." So I was like, "I got you, brother." So I'm out there with them, and I'm not expecting anything. I'm just on set chilling.
You're
And
like,
next
I'm just
thing,
gonna sit in your little director's chair and hang out while you're,
much.
yeah.
Pretty much. And next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, come on, I'm getting you on." And I'm like, "Whoa, wait, what?" And he's
I'm like,
like, "Yeah, I
trust
got
me,
you,
this.
yeah." And they actually like they sent the van for me, they sent me the wardrobe and they got me fitted and everything. And next thing you know, he's like, "All right, you're gonna stand right here." And I'm like, "Bro, I don't even, this is my first time on camera and it's gotta be with the main actors and everybody else. And this, all right, fuck it, let's do it." And I did it. I was able to do it, but I didn't have any dialogue, so I didn't have to worry about that. But it was definitely an experience that was out of my comfort zone. But I'm still grateful for that experience because there's people that would be willing to do anything to be on set, and just watch, just be a fly on the wall. So the fact that he got me in and everything, was definitely an experience. And he's the one that told me, he's like, "You're an actor now." I'm like, "I don't know about that." He's like, "No, you're an actor. You have to be an actor." He's like, "But there's no way around it." He's like, "Start saying you're an actor." He's like, "And we're gonna get you in more stuff." So, I started doing other little independent films and stuff like that. But like I said, as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely music first.
Okay. Because that's why I was like, should I be expecting you in more things? I mean, I'm like, oh, I'll check your Instagram, see if there's a film that's coming out now. I was like, what are we up to right now? What's going on here? Because I also saw that you're a producer,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, I mean, that's why I was like, where does his talent end? Like, I really have no idea. You're doing so much, which is incredible. But I feel like getting more comfortable with all those things. Like you said, you had to really find your voice when you're in the studio and you're like, I know I can do this. Now you're being thrown literally out with like pack of wolves. Like, here you go. Now, if you're going to act at any time, here's your time to do it. You're like, oh shit, what am I doing?
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
with producing, like when are you ever going to get comfortable with anything? And I think that's a beautiful part about having a passion is like you're not doing it to perfect something, you're doing it literally just because you enjoy it and you truly are giving it your all without like making it so perfect, because I think if you try to perfect something, it's no longer a passion.
Absolutely,
You
absolutely,
just master it and then you get bored of it. So I feel like you're like
absolutely.
forever evolving, which is like such an amazing thing. But were you able to produce your music videos? Was that something that you had a hand in, or is that something that you're like starting to grow into and for that role?
Well, as far as the music videos go, I produce all of my own music videos. JT, he directs my music videos, and I've gotten him to act in a few of my music videos as well. But as far as the visions go, I I'm still really hands on. I'll go in and I'll sit with the editor and I'll be like, I don't like that clip. take that one out, use that clip because that looks pretty cool, So I'm really hands-on with that as far as anything that has to do with my music and creative part of it. I tend to, I'm either over your shoulder or I'm right there, like, do this, try this, do this. So yeah, I'm really hands-on with that. And that's what he tells me too, JT. He says, look, man, you act in your music videos. That's still acting.
It
And I'm
is.
like, in a way it is. I'm like, but to me, it's more like you're sitting here and you're having a conversation with me right now, and you're getting me, the individual who can sit and talk about whatever, you know. When I'm on stage, I'm performing. I feel different. Like it's almost like a switch turns on, and I'm in character. So, but it's not so much me acting a character. It's so much more of another side of me, Whereas when you're acting, it's more of you literally have to become someone else. And the people that can do that very well are the people that are considered talented actors. Me, I don't feel like so much I'm going and becoming someone else. I feel like I'm just tapping into another energy that's within me already.
Right.
So, but it's definitely still another me. So you see me on stage and I'm moving differently. My facial expressions are differently. My attitude is different. And then I come off stage and it's like I'm back to me. So in a sense, I guess it is acting, but I was like, it's not the same. I don't feel that it's the same.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, it's like playing up on a persona, but then like literally if you're acting, you're totally not even Ricky. You're a whole other
exactly,
different human being.
exactly.
So yeah.
And JT's really good at tapping into that, which makes him, an amazing actor. Like I said, I've been fortunate enough to see him work, you know, in person, and man, all of these guys on these shows are just the way they do it to me is like wow. But then JT turns around and says the same thing to me about me when I do music. He's like, bro, I feel the same way about you when you do music. He's like, you do music and you make it seem easy. He's like, but it's not. I'm like, but it is. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, well, acting is not easy. He's like, but it is. I'm like, no, it's not. So,
Right.
it's kind of just that, it's interesting to be able to share this with people and see, their strengths and get them to see your strengths. And we just all appreciate the art so much that, we embrace each other in so many ways. It's just a beautiful thing.
I love it. I mean, I don't ever think I could become an actor because I'll tell you, like, I have a teleprompter app that's on my phone. And like for my media group, we have to do like 60-second script reads, and either it's a script that we wrote or somebody else in the group wrote, and we have to read it. Do you know how many takes I have to do at times because I stumble on my words, or I was like, I didn't like the delivery. I can't imagine being in front of like a bunch of actors and, people off camera, like the crew, and having a camera on you, like, go now. I would freak out. So I'm totally with you that I'm like, I can't even do it in the sake of my own house by myself. So, like, with all these people around, I'd be freaking out. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, acting is tough. I agree with you, right? But I also think music is tough. I don't think I could do what you do either. So it's definitely like a talent that, only few can have.
I think you would be a good actress though, because what I've noticed is, acting people have to have a certain kind of attitude, or not so much attitude, but a person's character, the way that they carry themselves. You could kind of see the ones that would be good actors and the ones that won't. As far, or at least I can. And I've seen like some of your videos and stuff, and I think you'd be pretty good actually. I've
Thank
seen
you.
some people, yeah, I think you'd be pretty good. The thing is that you're just not comfortable yet. But once you get comfortable, I think you could actually be pretty good. Whereas me, I think I don't know if I'll ever be one of the greats in acting, but I'm definitely striving to be one of the greats in music. And hopefully one day, we can both share that. You could be one of the greats in acting, I'll be one of the greats in music. It'd be
I
wonderful
love
day.
it. And then I'm going to have your music in my featured film.
Oh, that man, that'd be dope.
And I'll have you on set, whether it's an extra with a non-speaking role or you want to co-star with me, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. But and my mentor, even last week, we were doing a script read, and he's like, Katie, didn't you tell me last year in the beginning of this that your friends were all like, you're destined to do this? I'm like, yeah. He's like, hello, here's your fucking script read. Like, yes, you are. But sometimes
Yeah,
you just don't see it in yourself. But I'm
absolutely.
like, I'm just a goofball. I mean, you saw my Instagram reel, and I'm like, I love narco trafficante. And how can I like connect with Ricky right now? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a reel. Oh, I haven't taken Spanish since like one semester in college, because I did it all growing up and now I'm rusty. And I'm like, oh, now I look like an idiot when I speak Spanish. So now I'm going to say, like, this is when you say you're fluent on your resume and you really don't know shit, but it got your attention. So I was
Oh
like,
yeah, definitely. I loved it. I loved it. Me and JT were watching it, and I was like, look at this shit, bro. This is hilarious. And he's like, oh, that shit is hilarious. So yeah, you definitely got my attention. I loved it.
oh my God. I just like sent him like a message, not to make this whole interview about him because it's not, it's about you, but I just sent him something because I posted him on my thing and I was part of his demo reel and he's like, oh, hello. Yeah, I'm a bitch. And I was dying laughing. I saw that, so I posted it. And so we were just talking about all this stuff today, like through DM. And I'm like, dude, you teach me so much. Like, I wouldn't know what pinche pendejo is unless it was for you and like all this stuff. It's like, oh my God. Like, but I was like, it's just like fun to be able to like engage with people and,
Yeah,
because at
totally.
the end of the day, how big or little you are in life, we're all still humans, So
I
I'm
was
like,
just having this conversation with someone recently. I was like, I'm like, I like to be met eye to eye. I don't like somebody to think they're above me or below me, especially because of their status or because of the money that they have or because the number of zeros in their bank account. I'm like, because to me, true wealth is right here. True wealth comes from your wisdom, true wealth comes from your experiences. And I've acquired enough wealth and wisdom to know that I'm right here with the richest or the poorest,
yep.
So I don't like to be looked at as anything other than an equal because your money does not matter to me. You could tell somebody could come and take your whole money away tomorrow. Somebody could come and empty out your bank account tomorrow and you could be back to the mud, but nobody could take away what you've acquired up here. Nobody could take away your wisdom. Nobody can take away your experiences. Nobody could take away what you've learned from life. So if you haven't acquired that, it doesn't matter how many zeros are in your bank account, you're not rich, you're not wealthy. Wealth comes to me in wisdom, so that's very, what you just said, there is nobody bigger or smaller. We're all the same. Now, some motherfuckers like to think that they're bigger or smaller. And that's where, that's the kind of energy that I don't like around me. But that's why, that's why I say, it doesn't matter who it is that if you want to talk to me and interview me, I'll do it, and I know a lot of people who are, nah, I won't do that, or nah, they got to have a certain amount of followers. And when I asked you what your show was about, I was just like, well, I wonder what her show's about, because I've been on shows where people are like, well, we're going to drink tequila. And then I've been on shows where like, well, we're going to smoke this. And I've been on shows where, it's a cooking show, but it's all still a podcast. I was like, well, do you have a theme? Is it just kind of show? Just tell me about it.
Right.
But other than that, I was, as soon as you said, can we do this? The answer was already yes to me,
You
because
said yes before you even asked what my show was about, which I was
absolutely.
like, oh, he actually like truly is just like genuinely curious about it, not like, oh, what is this show before I said
Yeah.
yes.
No, no, no. Because like I said, to me, it's important. I think that it's taken me a little longer for me to be able to really connect with my fans and engage with my fans, because a lot of them don't get these opportunities to sit here and talk to me, because I wasn't talking to nobody. Nobody was asking to interview me. Nobody was I wasn't doing blog posts. I wasn't doing nothing. So, a lot of my friends have always told me, they're like, people, you need to really be able to engage with people so people can see, how you come across other than just your music. Because like I said, when you see my persona on stage, it's a different persona than who I am, every single day. So it's but at the same time, it's still the same person, So it gets complicated for me. But they've been telling me, you need to talk to the people. Even if you're just doing like a little podcast or whatever, just talk to the people so the people can start to engage with you and kind of get to know you on a deeper level. So to me, one, like I said, one fan at a time. I don't care. I want to talk to as many people as I can, and get to know as many people, because it's, people, you can learn so much from so many different individuals, and we
Absolutely. So thank
deprive
you.
ourselves. Yeah.
This is a fan now getting to talk to you. So this is awesome. Yeah. No, but I mean, it is cool to be able to, like you said, meet new people, because if I'm ever in San Antonio, which I have a friend that lives there that's trying to get me to come visit, now I could be comfortable being like, hey, I'm coming to your city. Let's hang out. And I
Absolutely.
will get you that tequila, because I mean, right now I only have water. So it's not nearly as cool as having tequila like on here. And I don't drink. Ooh, do you have some right there? Yeah. Is that an autographed bottle too?
It is.
Yes. Okay. That's Solorzano. How do you pronounce it? Because I was
So Lozano, you actually got it right. Yeah.
this little gringo over here. I'm like, oh no. I was like, but no, I don't drink because I have a really sensitive stomach, but tequila is a probiotic. So I don't get sick if I drink it, right? So one of my really good friends, he was a former colleague of mine, and he's now doing life insurance. I actually interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he came over to my house. I'm like, dude, we're gonna have tequila on my show just because it's you. And he's like, oh, the Mexicano's here. Now you have to bring out the tequila. I'm like, yes, we have to like christen my new space. Like I just moved recently. And I'm like, yeah, it's all about tequila. So if I see you in person, I'm getting you a tequila shot. That's it. And after two, I'm gonna be super drunk, but I will get you at least two, because you could probably
Well, the thing is that I don't drink either.
really? Okay,
Yeah, I
so we'll
don't.
both
So
be
this
under the
bottle,
table
yeah,
after
yeah,
one shot.
yeah. This bottle was actually a gift from JT, and it was autographed and everything. And then one of my buddies came over and he's like, "Hey, let's pop open that tequila." And I was like, "Nah, man, it's autographed." And he was like, "Nah, man, fuck that. Open it up." And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, open it up." He just opened it up and he started drinking it. So I was like, "Yeah, it don't matter. I'll get some." JT's my brother, I
You
see
can get it
JT all the time.
autographed at any time. So you're
Yeah,
like, just
yeah, yeah.
open it and enjoy it.
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead, man. Drink it. It's all good.
All right. So at least next time or the first time I get to meet you, I'll get you water. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Or maybe like Coke or Diet Coke. We'll go wild and have soda, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So stupid. I'm like, yeah. No, that's the only time I drink. And that's probably like the last time I drank is like what, 2 months ago when I had him come over. Because I live alone. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Just sit here and drink by myself? That would be a problem.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that would be. It might be.
Let me see if I have any other questions. No, I think we covered everything. But I did tell you that I had a little like surprise segment at the end. So I
You
heard
did.
so much about who you are as a person, like on a serious level. So now we're gonna mix it up, and I want to see the goofy side of you.
All right.
Right. So I have a few would you rather questions that I just wanted to know to get to know you on a deeper level.
Okay.
So are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Perfect. All right. So, would you rather swim in a pool full of marshmallows or a pool full of maple syrup?
Ooh. I think I'd do the maple syrup.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like
because
that.
I kind of feel like you could float in it. So it might be pretty kind of float off.
And I'll just throw pancakes in there with you. I'm like, here,
Just
compliment
dip
it a
it.
little
I'll
bit.
just dip the pancake and just I can imagine, you know how you float on those floaty inflatable things, those
Yes.
yeah, but you don't need it because it's syrup. So you're probably just gonna float on top of it.
The buoyancy. Yeah, you're just going to be like right
Exactly.
on the surface. Although I feel like the consistency, like it's going to be so thick if you're trying to like, actually swim through it. That's going to be
You might
tough.
die, right?
Probably. Well, yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
breathe. You'd always have to keep your head out of the water.
Yeah, you probably die in syrup. Yeah, let's not do that. We'll do the marshmallow.
We'll have you float in syrup, but not swim in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. All right. Okay, this is a total random one. And I Googled these questions because I was like, what do I want to ask, Ricky? But would you rather be born without knees or born without elbows?
Oh, you know what? I think I'd rather be born without elbows, because with knees you could run.
Yeah.
You could run from something, but your elbows aren't going to always protect you from everything. So if you ain't got knees, yeah, I think I go with the knees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, your arm can just always stay out like that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
with
cool.
no knees, I don't know. That's a rough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I agree with you on that one. I would definitely be born without elbows. This is a rather odd one. Would you rather have a third nipple or an extra toe?
I think I'd rather have an extra toe because you could hide that.
Yeah, yeah.
The third nipple, as soon as you want to go swimming, it's a wrap. It's there. Hey, I'm here.
As you're swimming in maple syrup,
As you
everybody's
swimming in
gonna see
maple
your third
syrup.
nipple.
Exactly. You can't have that.
You're like, I'm self-conscious. You have to just get a tattoo over it or something, but it always.
No, because nipple tattoos really hurt. I have one.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Wait, what's your tattoo?
I have two scorpions right here running across my chest, like literally from like right here all the way like down. So,
Are those your only tattoos?
no, I actually have on my right arm, on my left arm, on my right arm I have on my upper and lower. On my left I have on my upper. And then on my left leg from my knee down, I have a whole pretty much like a music um a music staff with all the music notes. And then I have the two big, really big scorpions, and then I have a cross on my stomach, and then I have a really big clef note on my side that has my initials.
So which one was the most painful?
I would say the scorpions because it was on my nipple, so I don't want a third nipple tattoo.
You're like, X that one out.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I feel like
definitely.
the rib cage would definitely hurt.
You know what they told me whenever I went in to get that rib cage tattoo, the guy was like, "Man, it's really gonna hurt," but it actually didn't hurt too bad. He had a really light hand, so it didn't hurt too bad. But those scorpions, the one that hurt the most though was definitely the one on my leg. That was very painful. Like I had to stop a few times, and I it's rare that I stop. So yeah,
Yeah. I know.
it
I
was
just
bad.
got one back in November. I have, well, four tattoos total, but one on each ankle on the inside. And I just got one in November. And I kept, like just jerking. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, just really, we should just like bound my feet like to this
Strap
table
it
right
down.
now. And I was like, I'm sorry. And it's like a small tattoo, but it was just like killing. But the one on my back, like, because that's the biggest one, that hurt. And I'm like, is it because I have so much fat back there? Or is it because like usually when they say bone, it hurts, but I'm like, no, I got fat. This is my love handle. This shit hurts. So it's like,
I
I
don't
don't
know. I
know.
think everybody's different. They say that, certain areas hurt more, and I'm pretty sure maybe in general, yes, but I think everybody's different.
Yeah.
Some people's chest is gonna hurt more than other people's chest or back or whatever. So because everybody tattoos hurt. That's what I know. They
Yeah.
hurt regardless. So I don't care where you're getting, they hurt.
Yes. Just the needle all the time. No, it totally hurts. Okay. Sorry for like the total tangent, but I have one last one, probably the
Okay.
most disgusting one, but inquiring
Okay.
minds must know.
Let's do it.
All right. Would you rather walk barefoot in poison ivy or in a public bathroom?
Ooh, I think I'd rather walk barefoot on poison ivy. Yeah, a public bathroom. No, I'm not walking barefoot through a public bathroom. Yeah, that's
So
not happening.
disgusting.
Sometimes I don't even want to walk with my shoes on in a public bathroom. So
Yeah. You're like, do you have a hose out here? Can I like, clean these up a little bit? That
yeah,
bathroom was disgusting.
need a
Yeah.
pressure washer in here or something, please. Some
Yeah.
bleach.
Especially if it's like a gas station one. I mean, I bet like in all of your travels, you have seen some pretty gnarly gas station bathrooms. Ugh.
Yes, I have actually. I have. I try to forget those bathrooms sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like you being a guy, you have the option if you want to just go outside, you could. I don't really
That's,
have
that,
that.
I mean, that's the perception, but you got to keep in mind, you go to the bathroom outside and a cop pulls up on you. What do you think's going to happen?
You're a sex offender now.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
no, please, guys, do not go outside if you don't have to, because you don't want to be a sex offender over taking a piss outside.
Exactly. You're like, nature was calling and I had to answer, but now I'm on a registry.
But in retrospect, if a girl decides she wants to pop a squat over on a drunk night from the club, everybody's cool with that.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
don't know. It's a double standard.
It is. I think we should fight to like, make it like
I mean,
equal. We're gonna
if it's
have
gonna be equal rights, it's got to be equal rights across the board, you
that's
know.
so
But
true.
hey, that's for another discussion. We'll leave
I'm
that
gonna have
alone.
to have you back on and we'll talk about social issues.
Yeah, yeah, I got some opinions.
Oh my god, I love it. So anything that you have like current that you want to promote right now, or anything that's upcoming that you want to tell everybody? Because I feel like I've been talking your ear off and I'm so happy to like get to know you, but you're
Likewise.
probably like, hi, it's dinner time, I want to go eat now. So
No, no, no. Like I said, I enjoy conversation. That's one of the best things. Like, you can learn so much from someone. You never know what they're gonna give you. Um, I'm actually right now we're promoting the Narcotraficante video. It's still circulating. It's doing pretty well, on YouTube and on the streaming platforms. So you guys go follow on Spotify. Uh, go check it out on iTunes. Go check it out on YouTube. But for the most part, we're just gonna we're gearing up to release. For everybody that's tuning in that wants to check out new music consistently, it's gonna be coming out on my YouTube. So we're trying to build up the YouTube channel. So we're gonna be dropping something new every week to 2 weeks. So
awesome.
yeah, so it might not always be music videos, but I'm actually gearing up to do this little podcast where we're gonna do a behind the music, and I'm actually gonna sit down and we're gonna pick a song that it's already released, and I'm gonna talk about the creation process and kind of the story behind it, because there's always really good stories of how the songs got developed and how they came to be. It's never just, oh, I just wrote a song, or at least not for me. So we're gonna start doing that, picking up some of these songs and really kind of dissecting them a little bit and giving the people a behind the curtain peek at some of the creative process.
That's
And so that's about to come out real soon. And I'm also going to be releasing new music consistently on the YouTube channel. So you guys go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ricky Versetti, and rickyversetti.com. That pretty much you can find everything you need right there. It's got all the links to all my social medias. And yeah, just stay tuned. We got a lot of new music. Right now we have Narcotraficante and California Dreamin' circulating. So yeah, you guys go check that out.
perfect. And you just plugged yourself because I was gonna ask you drop all your social handles and you did it for me. So that was super easy.
Yes, yes,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
well, I'm gonna go ahead and I didn't know you had a YouTube, so I'm gonna subscribe after this. So I'm super
Yes, thank you.
excited to see all the upcoming releases that you have going. But I
And
think it
go
will
check
be
out some of the old videos, because we have I actually have some of my older videos on there that are really really good. It's got JT directed them, and he's acting in two of them. So go check that out, and drop a comment, let us know what y'all think.
yeah, and then we're gonna have your acting reel up there one day.
Very soon, very soon.
You need to.
We should
Carpe
do a little skit.
diem.
We should do a little skit or something, and maybe kind of give it to the people and see what they think.
I love that. Honestly, no, I love that. Now I have to come up with a persona.
Do
Who do
it.
you want to be?
I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. But
You're like,
we
I
should
just
definitely do it.
came up with the idea. I don't have a character yet. Come on now. Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. No, because that way we can both like start becoming actors.
We
That
can
would
get
be,
comfortable in front of the camera.
yeah, I love it. It would be like an odd couple because it's like we're on different parts of the country. We're like totally different, even though I feel like we're the same, which again, like I asked, and I didn't mean it like in an offensive way, like, how old do you think I am? But I'm 36. So when you talk about freestyling and Michael Jackson and Selena, I'm like, that was all my upbringing. So that's
It's your
why I'm like,
era.
yeah, that's why I was like, oh my God, no, I feel like we're the same person, even though we're not. But I felt like we have very similar upbringing in that
We
sense.
do. We definitely do. We come from the same era, so
Yes,
that's for sure. Yeah.
yes. Oh my God. Now, all right, we're gonna have to come up with our characters. We're gonna have to do a skit. We're gonna have to do something.
No, we are, and it's gonna be great. You'll see.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have a joint YouTube channel, and then that's how we're gonna blow up.
Hey, I'm with you. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love it. Ricky, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. And please come back soon because I want to hear, maybe we'll have you on in a few months after you release all the good stuff on your YouTube, and we'll do a follow-up interview.
Anytime, anytime. You just hit me up, and I'm there. I promise you. It was great
Are the
chatting with you,
best.
And love your attitude. You got great energy, so that's great.
Thank
Keep
you.
that
I
up.
appreciate it. Thank
Keep
you.
that
All
up.
right, so I'm going to end this and we'll chat for a couple minutes afterwards.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.